China responds with $2 million equipment and to aid to fisheries fire disaster. SIC claims Hydra appointment is illegal. That's also reported by the Standard there. Barrow names ICC after Sadauda, that's the International Conference Center there. Gumbo registers political party. That's also reported by the Standard. The lead story is saying the Ministry of Fisheries, Water Resources and National Assembly matters yesterday, 6 January 2020, received office equipment worth $2 million from the Chinese government through the Chinese embassy in Banjul. The items donated by the Chinese embassy to the ministry includes 20 desktop computers, 6 TV sets, 20 sets of printers, 20 sets of filing cabinets, 66 sets of air conditioners, 80 boxes of A4 size papers, 5 sets of scanners, 40 sets of toner cartridges, and 40 sets of UPS ATF. So that's the donation by the Chinese embassy there to the Minister of Fisheries. Also, Barrow names ICC after Jawara. President Adam Barrow has named the International Conference Center after Gambia's first president, Sadauda Kairaba Jawara, in honor of his legacy, according to a news release from the center. ICC, which was under construction in Bigelow, is now completed and will be inaugurated by President Adam Barrow on 11 January 2020. That's it for the papers. We will now bring you some of the stories we have, of course. At least a dozen traders at Serekunda Market registered a nightmare start to their new year after their shops were gutted by fire. At least 10 shops have been ripped apart by the fire and goods worth millions of dollars have been destroyed. More in this report. It's the worst possible way to begin the new year. Fire has certainly shocked traders at Serekunda Market after tearing into their shops, gutting goods worth millions of dollars.
Sumandale yaro mero moto men ka samana obedo ko Serekundale FNK Banjun. Parate ni moto ya ta nema wasilu asina jindi bitiki dala ja fulake na fitake do la moto wani ndingole masitambe ata Banjun wala tinda kana sumanda juno by 5 o'clock ko batarla na tajang 5 o'clock nya na tajang ayente kili wotu mombe bola suba saloto nko akonya ko bitiko janitale ako katanto la ka garanke ni burema na wolu ani bitiki lulu nyongo fonnani akoli be janitale bitun tanga raida tan nata ngatra jang ngaka garanke nyinin ka wole mo bitiko tijana ngaka garanke nyinin ka konye ako nko dimba bota nyaadi le nko fok kurangole ma ko hanide ako kurangonte akate fangole mita selendi bari dimba bota koma ma fango janne
waaw bagage façon bu nek lek ay façon bu nek dal la don jaay fini ci place bi man lima yahule fini dem na be 400 something thousand lakana suma place fini waaye safara bi naka la jógee mu ngi jógee ci suma gannaaw place bu nekk ci biir Babylone foofu la lakk boobu moo ñëw si suma place yi foofu la jógee ñëw lakk suma place bi waaw waaye safara bi ku ko lakk daal xawma ko de waaye safara bi foofu la jógee daal waaw safara bi nam bu mu stade fekk man maa ngi nelew gaay nit yi ñoo ma ooyeew ni mu ne ma jóg place yi mu ngi lakk waaye bu ma jógee nam mu nekk ci kanam tuuti gaay mu kool ci fire service ñëw fire service bu mu ñëwee fekk man suma place bi xal naa jeex sax waaye ñu ñëw ñu fayaale place yu dees loolu yëpp lu ñu ñëwee la moo tax gaay yëpp jeexul lakk bi waaw loolu moo tax ñu ñëw fay safara bu nekk fii nii yëpp.
The fire erupted in the early hours of Tuesday and this cigarette dealer was also affected.
Place bi fii li ma dee jaay mooy cigarette laa dee gën a jaay waaye dëgg safara bi yàqal nañu bagage yi yëpp dara génnut bagage yëpp yàqu na so man wholesale price laa doon jaay wholesale bagage laa doon jaay so li ma ci jot a yàqule daal mot na 1.5 million loo xamante ne lu yàqu fi mot na 1.5 million waaw loolu moo yàqu foofu so léegi maa ngi ñaan government bi ak askan bi yëpp ak waa Gambia yëpp ñu jàppale ñu dimbale ñu waaw because ñun moom dañuy soxla dimbale borom njaboot leen dañ soxla dimbal bu baax a baax dañ am ay xale yu nekk di dem school waaw ñu ngi ñaan nguur bi ñu jàppale ñu dimbale ñu ci loolu ñu jàppale ñu tax ñu defaraatal ñu suñ place yi ñu ngi ñaan nguur bi loolu.
At least 10 shops were razed by the fire. The country in recent weeks has seen a number of fire incidents. The October fire outbreak in the Carnifing Industrial Zone and the one at the Ministry of Fisheries 1 month later are some of the major fire incidents to have rocked the country.
For the first time in the Gambia, your favorite GSM operator, Africell, is the first and only GSM operator to launch a brand new technology called the eSIM. The eSIM simply means you can use your phone without a SIM card. Do you have an iPhone 11, any of the iPhone X series, a Google Pixel 3, or any new phone that supports the e-technology? Visit any Africell customer care center. Activate your eSIM today. With your virtual Africell SIM, you can use more than one number without having a physical SIM card in your phone. Enjoy this brand new technology for the first time in the Gambia, brought to you by Africell. eSIM, your phone without a SIM card. For more information, please call 111. Where Africell goes, nobody dares to follow.
And now, the 5th edition of TAF Africa Global Networking event opened today at Coral Beach Hotel. The theme for the event is the Gambia's performance in a world of borders without boundaries. Let's take a listen to what TAF CEO Mustafa Njai, ICC prosecutor, who was the guest speaker, Fatou Bensouda, and the vice president, as well as the vice president who spoke on President Adam Barrow's behalf. Let's listen to what they have to say.
Again, kindly indulge me to once again wish everyone present here a Happy New Year and a warm welcome to TAFCON 5, which coincides with our 30th anniversary as a company. It is with great delight that I look back at the past 30 years and see the successes that we have recorded as a company, particularly the thousands of families that we have sheltered in Africa, the lives we have impacted, and the businesses we have influenced across the African continent. It might interest you to note that I have worked as an apprentice, employee, through different segments of housing sector for 15 years before I started the company now known as TAF Africa Global Limited. TAF Africa Global, which was a startup business in 1990, known as TAF Construction Company Limited, has grown into a conglomerate with over 400 permanent staff. I was determined to succeed against all odds, and at some point, the company diversified into building material supplies and then hospitality, whilst carrying on business as TAF Holding Company. However, through my travels, I saw beautiful estates built to improve living conditions, which reflected the standard of living I wished to see in the Gambia. As such, I thought to replicate same in the Gambia. In the year 2000, we ventured into mass housing development, starting with Yarambamba with 210 low-income housing units, and then Burford Gardens with 550 units. In 2004, we took the first giant step to venture out of the Gambia as we went into Senegal and Mali. Then in 2011, we signed our first major PPP in Nigeria with the Rivers State government. This partnership gave birth to the project called Riftaf Golf Estate, which is our flagship project to date and the biggest estate in the southern part of Nigeria. From a startup business in 1990 in the Gambia, passion and determination to succeed has driven TAF Africa Global into becoming a reputable real estate brand in Africa, as we expanded into Nigeria, Rwanda, Senegal, Cameroon, Cote d'Ivoire, Togo, and Mozambique, although with special focus on the Gambia and Nigeria. As expected, a 30-year journey could not have been without its challenges. We have consequently converted our challenges to opportunities and learned from each challenge. Firstly, access to finance. As a startup 30 years ago, I started small by using my savings. We built credibility over the years, which made us able to access finance from the local and foreign partners.
Allow me to observe at the outset that these are exciting times in the Gambia, where a new beginning has given hope to the promise of nation rebuilding on the crucial pillars of good governance, equal opportunity, development, and respect for the rule of law. An era where innovative and an entrepreneurial spirit can thrive, where ideas and innovation can take root and be cultivated, where the potential of all Gambians can be fostered without distinction, and where different sectors of society constructively interact and are galvanized in the service of a common cause. That is, to build, hand in hand, a stronger, secure, and prosperous Gambia. Gambia's National Development Plan is very much devised with these necessary goals in mind. The TAF Conference, in its own way, attempts to lend its support to the currents of this new era, serving as a channel for that necessary thrust forward. The organizers are to be commended for creating this platform for the exchange of ideas and the forging of synergies and partnerships to serve this movement to advance the country's growth and greater success in this new century.
I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate Mr. Mustafa Njai and his team on this 5th TAFCON and the attainment of a major milestone for TAF Africa Global, which is celebrating 30 years successful operations, first in the Gambia and then in the sub-region. This is no mean feat, and the signing of the MOU between Shelter Afrique and TAF Africa Global, which we must or just witnessed to build 1 million homes in Africa, is testimony to the vision, hard work, and delivery of quality services by TAF. The country needs economic independence through employment and opportunities for wealth creation towards poverty eradication. Economic independence of our citizens would make our socio-political independence meaningful. Since our political independence 55 years ago, generations have been working hard to improve their economic situation. Thus, great names in the business sector of the Gambia, like Mustafa Njai TAF. The principles of private sector-led growth and our belief in the private sector as engine of economic growth will continue to be a fundamental national development pillar.
Again, kindly indulge me to once again wish.
Thank you. The Gambia is going through interesting times politically since the election slaughtering of former President Yahya Jammeh at the 2016 elections. Every political group or organization in this country has been battling for the very soul of this country. President Barrow was supposed to preside over a 3-year transition government, but his decision to stay until 2021 has sparked a huge row. It resulted in the forming of 3 Years Jotna, a pressure group that is calling for Mr. Barrow to keep to his word and step down later this month. And then all of a sudden, there is another group, Gambia for 5 years and Peace Building. They want President Barrow to stay in office for 5 years, and so the standoff. And I am joined by the Secretary General of Gambia for 5 years now and Peace Building, Mr. Ibrahima Sori Bah. Mr. Bah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So quickly, first of all, this is the first time we are interviewing an official of your group, Gambia for 5 years and Peace Building.
Right.
First off, How did your group come about?
Thank you. A very interesting question. It is quite historic in the sense that for the first time, like you mentioned, we have two opposing groups, one saying for and saying against. Well, Gambia for 5 years and peace building came as a result of what I call the displeasure that has been registered, that has been learned, and that has been bared by Gambians from the 2016 coalition.
I
Politically.
don't understand what you are saying.
Well, I am saying that following the 2016 presidential election coalition that is in power currently, 2 years down the line, you had a friction in the coalition. You had two parties, in fact 3 now, the PDOIS, the UDP, and the GMC, leaving the coalition per se. 6-7 months earlier, you had a group that I call a disgruntled group that called itself, you just mentioned them, called itself 3S Jotna. That is a pressure group that is all out to make sure, to try to hold the president accountable for the 3-year agreement. The very convention that the coalition parties campaign for. But we saw...
Is there anything wrong with that?
Very wrong, something wrong. In fact, everything about it is wrong because you had a coalition that became very fragile of late, and without a solution. That is what necessitated the coming into being or the inception of Gambia for 5 years and peace building. That has to, or that is making reference to the constitutionally sanctioned, the 5-year constitutionally sanctioned mandate, because you have a problem with the coalition in a nutshell. That became a byproduct of 3S Jotna that is now trying to hold the president accountable for a convention that has been revoked and ratified by a majority of the coalition parties. You have two.
But you mentioned two words there, revoked and ratified. These are two different things. Revoked,
no, when you revoke,
when you revoke
something, it is to say that it is no longer existing. You scrapped it, yeah. And later on you come back and say, no, we are ratifying. Those that revoked it are those that left the party, the coalition, without writing.
But then this issue of you said fragility,
yeah.
Or should I say the crumbling of the coalition?
The crumbling.
A lot of people would say it was in fact sparked or triggered by the president himself.
No.
Because he was the one who pledged to serve for 3 years. Nobody put words into his mouth.
Who are the custodians? Who are the custodians of the convention?
He is the custodian.
He is not the custodian. He was only made a flag bearer. In fact, he said he was not even an executive member. He has not even been attending executive meetings. So the custodians are the architects. That is the political parties. He was there as an independent flag bearer who resigned from his party, his original party of the UDP.
But
he was a member of the coalition, but he is not the key figure who is supposed to bear the brunt of the whole blame.
Of course,
the blame will be shifted to the coalition as a team.
I will disagree with you there, Mr. Barr.
Fine.
Here is the face of the coalition. He was the candidate. He was the fulcrum. He was the center of everything. All the coalition stakeholders revolve around him. So you cannot say that he is not the most important. He is the most important. And he was the one who the IEC recognized as the candidate, as the flag bearer of the coalition.
Fine.
And he was the one who stood for elections. So he must be the most important stakeholder.
Well, that is your perception. That is your point of view. But for us, for Gambia for 5 years and peace building, are holding the coalition accountable for the fragility and for the crumbling and for the inconsistency of the coalition.
But don't you think this issue of inconsistency started with President Barrow? Because he was the one who said, "I'm doing 3 years."
No, they say they are. No, they said they are going. The agreement that was derived, the campaign that was derived from the convention. that has points. That has points. Of course, of course, he was part of it. I said I am not exempting the Barrow.
Why would he agree to something that he was not ready to do? Why do you think
President
Barrow had to go on? Because it was not a matter of forcing him to agree to it,
Look at the process that the coalition went through to arrive at its current situation.
Complex as the processes might be, what I am saying is that it was not by force that President Barrow should agree to such a condition.
But he cannot also reject
the
coalition, whereas it was incumbent. No, of course, because you had the majority of the coalition, that is 5, in fact, originally 6 out of the 8 coalition parties coming together to say, well, we said 3 years, but due to reason X, Y, and Z, we feel you should go for 5 years. Of course, taking refuge behind the constitutionally sanctioned 5-year presidential mandate. So the president would have no choice. Although I agree with you, he has the right, he has the prerogative to resign, but he also has the right, in as much as the Constitution also allows him, and you have to continue. In as much as he has the right to resign. But if he chooses to go, by the dictates of the coalition, in addition to the constitutional mandate, well, we have to wait for 2021.
What should he have done in a situation where there is so much discord, so much wrangling in respect of his rule? Now, because opinion is split, there are this side, this part of the aisle that says, Mr. Barrow, you should leave office. You should skip to his.
How about those that say he should not?
So that's what I'm saying. And you have the other side too, the other side of the aisle that says he should remain in office. What should he do as someone who has huge respect for himself?
He should observe constitutionality. He should go back to the dictates of the Constitution. Because that you are talking about an MOU that is very questionable. You are talking about an MOU that is very questionable, because this is an MOU whose convention has not been, the signed convention has not been published as we speak. Have you ever seen this? No, a convention cannot be relevant in as much as it is not signed.
But that should not be the main bone of contention.
No, we are trying to make reference. We are trying to make reference between an MOU and a constitution where you have a political friction. So much so that the population became divided. You have the Gambia. The Gambia is divided, and the president can doubt as to which way, because you have the majority. In fact, I am telling you, take it from me, that the majority of the Gambian people are in support of the 5-year constitution mandate. How did you arrive? How did I arrive? I am going by the coalition, 5 coalition members, 5 coalition parties. I'm also taking into account the other 2 main opposition parties, or 2016 presidential election stakeholders, the APRC and the GDC,
yes,
whose electorate voted for 5 years. But what you have in stake is the Constitution. Not official. No, not official. Have they come out like the UDP did? Have they come out with a press release or in a press conference to say that? But we have seen
leaders of GDC, for example, saying
no, the leaders do not own. The leaders do not own the party. You have a distinction between the party and the leadership. So you cannot, if the leadership says this, you cannot take it for granted. That cannot have direct bearing on the party. The party is comprised of structures. So where the executive, like, if you have a replica of what of the UDP's action by coming forward and say, okay, here we are in a press conference or a press briefing, our standpoint is X, Y, and Z. That is such time that you say, yes, this is the position of the GDC. They have been saying 2 things. We sat with the GDC leader. We had a meeting with him. We engaged all political parties. So they have not come up. They have not come out with an official declaration to say that this is the position of the GDC. And for APRC, you know. For APRC, you know clearly.
And from that, you deduce that they have not.
You either be for. If you are for, you have to be for. If you are against, you have to come and say yes, we are against. But from that, what stops them from doing so? But in as much as, even if the party says this today, but it is irrefutable that the party, the constituents of the party voted for.
You have not sought their reaction or how their position.
Did they campaign for 3 years?
In respect
did
of
they campaign
Barrow
for 3 years?
serving for 5 years.
No, but did they campaign for 3 years? Did the GDC party as a party, did they campaign for 3 years? Their manifesto has a 5-year presidential term.
I think that part, in fact, is ambiguous. It's open to debate, because what you will understand is that political parties would campaign. In a normal situation, they would campaign. The constitutional mandate says 5 years. The Constitution, okays a 5-year term. But candidates would not go about campaigning saying, campaign for me when I when I. Then
you cannot blame Barrow for the campaign promise. No, then you are rendering. Then you cannot blame Barrow for campaigning for 5 years, because if that cannot be relevant, if that is irrelevant.
What I'm saying, what is relevant is how long you want to stay in office. The Constitution says you must not go beyond 5 years.
Fine.
But within that 5-year period,
it did not also say you should step down. Yes. After 3 years, especially where you have been pressured. No, where you have been pressured, where you are under pressure from a disgruntled group. But whose objective is only regime change.
But the pressure
and being backed by a political party. But that is a stakeholder. That is a party whose leader once stood and said anyone who tries to pressurize Barrow to step down after 3 years would be sued to court by him. So you are talking about
Are you talking about Ousainou Darboe?
Of course, lawyer Ousainou Darboe of the UDP.
But the party
that is it.
UDP has come out to take in an official position.
Fine.
And what
was their position when they were in government?
No, but they are saying that that's
what was their isn't that inconsistency?
No, but
for a political party that is aspiring,
you cannot. I mean, the party has set the record straight. So one should not call that inconsistency, because what the party said,
with top executives of that party being in government, having served that government for a period of 2 years.
But Mr. Ba,
when the president, when their secretary general and party leader made that statement, where were they? Why did the party came at the time and say no, we are distancing ourselves from the statement of the party leader?
Even if the party did that should not mean he was speaking in his capacity.
Political leaders, party leaders are influential to a great extent, to a great deal. They influence their parties. They influence their party membership. So you cannot refute the fact that if a party leader comes out today and say that has bearing on the rest of the
Mr. Ba, let me take you back. Let me take you back because now I know where to pin you.
Fine.
We talked about the GDC. You said GDC has not taken a position.
I put to
you that their leaders have come out to say the president should honor. You are saying that is not a party position. So how can Ousainou Darboe's statement be a party position?
No, I am not saying it's a position. I am saying he influenced to a great extent, and it is evident. It is clearly evident that the party is behind Trias Jotna.
How can an individual influence the president's desire?
Because he's a leader. Because he's a leader. Because he's the leader. He's the leader and the founder of the party. He is the flag bearer. He has been the flag bearer for the past 20 years. So you influence the party directly.
Is it not the case that President Barrow has all along been minded to stay in office beyond 3? He had no intention whatsoever to step down after 3 years.
Well, I don't think so. I wouldn't. My judgment wouldn't. My consent wouldn't give me that. My instinct wouldn't. I think President Barrow is mature enough to take independent decisions. I would assume that independent decisions, not to be minded and not to be influenced to do something that he does not want to do. I don't think so.
What you are Secretary General of Gambia for 5 years and Peace Building, and what your rival group is campaigning for is for him to leave office by later this month, by the 19th of January, and what they have said in their petition is that the president if he refuses to leave office, that would amount to treachery and betrayal.
That cannot be constitutionally established. You cannot, because the Constitution has given him the mandate to serve for 5 years.
But treachery and betrayal is not necessarily a constitutional matter.
Well, treachery in their own opinion. President Barrow and his allies would equally say, no, they can shift the blame on the coalition, the very coalition that the same allies of 3 years Jotna were a party to. The same coalition, the majority of that coalition, the 5 parties that came back to President Barrow and said, well, instead of 3 years, you should serve for a term of 5 years. So anything other than that, and in the manner in which they want to do things, they want to hold him accountable, it's nothing less. It's nothing less than a coup d'etat. It's quite treasonous.
So you say why is this someone to call on someone to respect his word? You call that treason?
No. They are not stopping at No, I am not saying that. Because why did they not stop at the petition at the protest? Their protest of the 16th. Why are they going further to say if the president did not step down by the 19th, on the 28th they are taking to the streets to make sure that he is removed?
But they have a right. They have a right
to protest and forcefully remove an elected president.
They never said that.
That is what they said.
They never say. They said that they are going to.
I don't know why you journalists always try to defend.
We are not defending anybody here.
Using that constitutional right of 3 years.
We are here to keep you accountable.
To overstep.
We are here to keep you to account. If 3 years Jotna people also come here, I'm going to do the same to them.
Well, fine.
The same is going to. I would use the same approach when it comes to 3 years Jotna.
But their agenda is regime change.
I'm trying to keep you to account.
They are not account up to extent, but you do it constitutionally.
Because the reasons you are advancing, the reasons you as the Gambia for 5 years group, the reasons you are advancing is this. Oh, the president, we voted for the president for 5 years.
Fine.
5 years, that is what you would say.
And that is what the Constitution also guarantees.
No, the Constitution guarantees that. But there is nothing wrong with President Barrow resigning.
How about if he chooses not to resign? Are you going to force him to resign?
Nobody is going to force him to resign.
You are forcing him to resign because they are forcing him to resign by giving him an ultimatum.
They did not say that, did they?
No, the ultimatum, have you read? Do you know what is in the petition?
The petition said they will go back to the streets. They will talk to the streets.
That is treason. The ultimate motive behind that
is treason?
Yes, there are protests that are treason. A protest has to be within the confines, within the parameters of the
new process of
the law.
You have seen the 16 December protest.
Will the police give them permit to stay in the streets beyond 24 hours? Do you know that? How about if the police fails to give them permit to stay, to continue beyond 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours?
That.
No, what is going to, no country, no government on earth, I have not seen any government giving license or permit to protesters to oust it. I have not seen that anywhere. In most cases, even in Europe, the masters of democracy, we have seen governments, Western governments, how do you call it, descending on protesters, peaceful protesters for that matter. We saw them using heavy machinery.
Are you in any way trying to say that is what our security?
No, I am only giving you that as reference to say that no government will. No, I am using that as reference to show you that no government on earth will sit and relent and allow.
So you are saying that is in a way you are suggesting
to come and evict that government from power.
In a way you are suggesting that the President Barrow government would also use that
words into my mouth. I am telling you that we have seen the Western powers that are claimers or masters of democracy going to the extreme of dispersing of even descending on peaceful protesters, whose objective is revenge change. We have seen the rest of Africa, how regimes, in fact dictatorial regimes, got removed from power as a result of massive demonstrations. A replica, which they want to replicate in the Gambia with different scenarios, because you and I know that the Gambian situation is completely different from the situation of Algeria, the situation that took place in Sudan and other countries, where such as the Arab Spring some time ago. So you are talking about a country, you are talking about a government that is democratically elected, that is being pressurized by a group of disgruntled people who has no concern for the constitution, who have no concern or regard for constitutionality. Otherwise, they would have at least said, well, after the protest of the 16th, one would expect them to say, okay, we are waiting. You cannot give an ultimatum to a president and say, well, unless you do, if you don't do this, we are going to do this. The objective, the ultimate objective is regime change.
Your group, Gambia for 5 years, is it the case that your group was formed by a bunch of citizens who are only interested in position, who want jobs? What is really the point of coming up with such a group?
Well, it's quite interesting. It's only about the Gambia. We are only interested in making sure that peace and stability prevails in this country.
Some people
we for
say,
sure
no, these are people who are just opportunists.
Well, fine.
Who want jobs, who want to be in the good side of
fine.
President
I can tell you that the majority of the executive committee of Gambia for 5 years are self-employed. They are running businesses that are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. That most civil servants don't earn in a month. But what we saw is the state. It became eminent that with the agenda of 3 years Jotna and their allies, this country's peace and stability could be tested as it is being tested, and that they can plunge this country into chaos.
So don't you think that is misplaced paranoia?
No,
people are simply just paranoid
it's
and
evidence.
are talking about
it is
things
quite
that don't exist.
No, we are taking them accountable. We are holding them by their words and their activism. We have seen them. We have heard them in various fora, from WhatsApp fora to other platforms. We saw the leadership. We have really looked at and assessed the quality of leadership of 3 years Jotna, whose ambition, whose overall objective is just to make sure that they ensure that there is regime change in the Gambia. We saw the leadership, and we have really studied the reason behind the formation of 3 years Jotna, and that is ultimately regime change. Of course, coming high on the heels of disgruntlement. So
you talked about the country's security, the country's peace. That this is a group that is baying for regime change there.
Sure.
But what we have seen, a lot of things we have said about this group, 3 years Jotna, bunch of criminals who want to set the country on fire. But I have seen people in this country who really said that. But all of a sudden, their protest came, and it went on quite peacefully.
They did not have a choice. Do they have a choice? They protested between this Sting Corner and 200 meters from the Denton Bridge. It's a purely non-residential area with the security, with the high security alert. How much has that cost us? What can you do there? They were under security, under intense security, and that is the only thing that the government can do. So it's more of a fake. That for me, well, fine, they had no option. But for me, emphasis is not on the 16th. Emphasis is on the 20th.
Your group, you are also planning to demonstrate
solidarity.
I mean, you can sugarcoat it, you can use the beautiful words that suit you, but what we know is you also want to stage a protest to try to prevail on President Barrow to stay until 2021, next year, to stay for 5 years. Why are you protesting?
We are not protesting. We are organizing a solidarity march.
Yes, you call it a solidarity march.
Fine, call it a protest.
I will call it a protest.
Fine, any terminology you are free to use any term.
Yes.
But our term, the phrase is National Solidarity March in defense of the Gambian Constitution, in defense of the Gambian.
In defense of President Barrow.
In defense of the Constitution that says any elected president shall serve a term of 5 years. So giving the contradictions, giving the confusion, we felt it is necessary to make reference to the Constitution. So we are not in support of President Barrow.
And
in support of the
and that's President Barrow, vis-a-vis President Barrow.
It is a mere coincidence that he
happens to be president.
If you were there today, we would have. If any future leader comes and found himself in this situation, we will come out.
You will come out and defend
him.
The
same thing.
Interesting, quite interesting there. So now your protest. One thing that you also said that was very interesting has to do with the number of people that you expected to take part in this protest. Yeah. I mean, what we know or understand is that you are targeting a staggering 300,000 Gambians to take part in this protest. 300,000 people, really?
Yeah, actually that was our initial, I want to make some clarifications. Our initial target was 300,000. But when we sat down and squarely assessed the whole situation, looking at the membership base across the country and the diaspora, we realized that it is not possible.
That's not possible.
That's not possible.
But how much people do you have?
That was the target. But when we reconciled the projections that we had, we realized that we can bring only about 100,000. We can target about 100,000.
100,000, really? You think you can get 100,000?
That is the target. That is the confirmed target for now. Across the 7 administrative regions and the diaspora.
Have you printed your T-shirts?
The T-shirts are being printed. We are, as we speak.
How much T-shirt are you printing?
Well, we are printing as much as possible. We
tell us a number, estimatedly. Tell us roughly how much.
Well, we are printing thousands. I may not know because as we speak, people are donating T-shirts. People are
because this is about accountability. We don't want you to come up concoct numbers.
No, I cannot put a number.
We don't want you to concoct numbers. We want you to tell us. At the end of the day, how much T-shirts
we are printing thousands. We are printing in the region of thousands.
That way we will know.
Tens of thousands of T-shirts. Because you cannot know. Because actually, you have people. You have donors. You have donors that are coming. Well-wishers who are coming, who are offering. We want to print 1,000. We want to print 5,000. We are printing. So
your protest, when it is? When it is?
Well, the Solidarity March is slated for Sunday, the 12th of January, 2020. Rendezvous. From Sting Corner to 200 meters from the Denton Bridge.
So are you also, it's going to be a walk form, procession?
It's going to be in a procession form. We are going to...
And then you are also going to hand over your petition.
We are going to appear in our T-shirts, in our white dresses, also with our placards and banners, and of course we are going to deliver a petition to the president. We are going to petition the president.
And then what are you going to say in your petition?
Well, for him to respect the constitutionally sanctioned 5-year presidential mandate.
Don't you think you are making this thing really difficult for President Barrow? Here is one petition that he is thinking over on, and now you are also going to deliver another petition to him. You are confusing him. He
was sworn in to uphold the Constitution, the Gambian Constitution, as a president. As the #1 citizen of this country, he swore twice, one in Senegal and one in the Gambia, to uphold and safeguard the Constitution. He is the #1 custodian of the Constitution. That made him the chief executive of the Gambia, the Gambian Republic. So he should make reference to the Constitution. He should make a choice between an MOU and the Gambian Constitution, the 1997 Constitution. Of course, that is being backed by an entrenched clause that was subject to referendum.
Let us talk about possible future occurrences or happenings. Should you deliver your petition to President Barrow and the president, disregard it?
If
what
he disregards it,
are you also going to stage another protest?
That is subject to discussion, and that we are going to before the 12th we are going to sit as an organization and strategize and see what is going to be the next step. For us,
if he disregards,
well, of course, we will have Plan B. Of course, we may.
Are you also planning to, stage another protest?
Well, we will continue to exert pressure on the president to respect the Constitution of the Gambia. We are going to continue on our advocacy, but in which form, I am not in a position here to tell you how are we going to do it. But be rest assured that the Gambia for 5 Years and Peace Building and its allies, we have more than 45 registered civil society groups that are also campaigning for the 5 years. We have 27 chapters overseas in Europe, America, and Asia that are
So that makes
behind
you a registered group.
Yeah, of course.
Gambia
In fact, as it stands, Gambia for 5 years is just taking the lead. But you have numerous groups that are affiliated that are taking part in this.
So let's quickly talk about your funding then. How do you get your money?
Purely from donations and contributions.
Donations. When you say donations, who are these people? Who are the people that are donating to your group?
Gambians and non-Gambians, peace-loving people across the world, and in the Gambia in particular, who have been very generous, who have been contributing towards the cause. We have also been raising funds. We have been engaged in fundraising. We have been contributing.
So these donors, these philanthropists, is President Barrow and his associates part of them?
No. These are independent people who have nothing to do with government. These are independent people.
Nothing to do with President Barrow.
Certainly, who have nothing to do with President Barrow. You can prove that. Anyone can come forward and prove that. We are being funded by Gambian peace lovers who are ambassadors of the group in one way or the other, and also through contributions. The Gambia for 5 years and peace building has a vast membership, a large membership of up to 400,000 people registered across the country. We have structures. We have ward committees. We have district committees. We have regional committees. When we went to the Upper River region, you must have seen on social media, we had a solidarity march. It was purely, in fact, it was about 70% of the funds were raised locally. So in the diaspora as well. So we have been receiving regular contributions. As we speak, the funding for this solidarity march, the National Solidarity March, is purely funded by Gambians.
Mr. Ibrahima Soriba,
yeah.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
That's Ibrahima Soriba. He's the Secretary General of Gambia for 5 years and peace building, talking to us there about their planned protest and related matters there. They want President Barrow to stay in office for 5 years.
Thank you very much.
So that's it for this edition of News Review. Thank you very much for being there. We will be back tomorrow. Until then, I am Lamin Jai.
Thank you, Jai.
Thank you. The Gambia is going through